Since the 1980s, the Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative has been a textbook on community improvement without displacement. But like all neighborhoods, the Dudley Triangle is going through changes, partly in connection with expanded rail service near Upham's Corner. And part of the strategy for making the best of neighborhood change is an art project on wheels. To tell us how it works are from DSNI, the community organizer and planner for sustainable development, Bayoan, Rossello, Cornier, and the commissioned artist for the Upham's Corner art project, Cedric Douglas. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I want to start with Bayoan. Talk about the context here, because it's not as simple as saying, let's do some art in the square.
Yeah. So over the last 2 years, we've had the Upham's Corner Art Place initiative, which was originally granted an 18-month grant from Art Place America, where they took community-based organizations, the Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative, the Boston Foundation, Upham's Corner Main Street, the Design Studio for Social Intervention, along with other local community art institutions, so San Mateo Ballet Theater, the Trout Institute, Berkeley School of Music, and said that how do you do creative placemaking in Upham's Corner, which is leveraging local assets, be it resident engagement, local businesses, community-based organizations such as DSNI, and anchor institutes like The Strand, to create a vibrant cultural, economic success story through arts and culture. And so over the last 2 years, we've done a lot of artistic interventions. We created an up market where we had local businesses and creative placemakers sell their goods outside. We increased attendance of residents at the Strand, and it kind of culminated to a point where we're like, you know what, what's the next step? And Permanent Public Art Piece was that. So we sent out an RFQ, a request for quality, where we had 29 people apply. We chose 5 finalists, Cedric was amongst one of them, where they had 3 public forums, and they actually explained to the community what the engagement process was. Not what the art piece would be, but actually how they would engage the residents to create the final product, and Cedric was the finalist chosen for this.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Cedric, is that you're not just going out there saying, I have an idea, I'm the artist, and here it is. You do it almost the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I've been involved with working with Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative and DS4SNI, and they were commissioning me to do some work in the past. That's kind of how I heard about the work that was going on. And plus, my art studio was in Upham's Corner for 4 years. So I'm like, what's going on here? This is kind of a cool community, and I've gone there since I was younger. So I worked with Street Lab. That was a project where they went around and had residents come and try to build things in the community. And I was like, what about if we could bring that to people and have them be part of that process? And then it kind of in line to what the kind of goal was with Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative. And I was like, wow, I got to apply for this and try to continue the work that I was already doing in the community. And so the truck was a way to get people to see, you know, actually the truck is a work of public art itself because it's a mural on the truck, and getting people to be creative and then to get their feedback for what they want for art in their community. And normally it's like, we want to put a statue here, and we have this amazing person to build it from somewhere, local or not, and then it's done. So it's the other way around, getting people like, what's going to make your day better? What's going to help bring business and make people that have been there for 10 years doing business, make it, you know, people drive by, what's going on here, you know? And it's going to be exciting for the community.
So you're driving around almost like an ice cream truck. And how do you get people to come up to you and let you tap their brains, their imaginations?
Well, I mean, a lot of times we just park the truck. We go to a location and park the truck, and we try something and see what people will like, and then people might like it, they might not. And then we develop that and see what do people like about that, and what the people they can take with them. So one things that people came up and asked is like, I want to learn how to print T-shirts. We like your shirts and this and that. So we set up a screen printing tutorial and had people learn and actually print their own T-shirts. And we had a stencil station for spray painting. We had a variety of about 8 different designs. At first, people were like, wow, free shirts. Then at the end, they were like, design their own shirts. I want that orange. Can you make that blue? Can you, actually, let me see the can. And they started creating their own shirts, and they were kind of empowered to be creative, you know, and they kind of designed their own T-shirts. And so we're trying to get people to design their own public work of art with that same kind of concept.
And you get to see where people are headed. You get to see their visions. I guess that helps you figure out what else you need to follow here.
Yes.
Coming to Bayoan, explain placemaking, because I think of it as the absence of placemaking sometimes. Is that, well, so here's a neighborhood where you get a hodgepodge of stores and whatnot, and it looks kind of messy. But you're talking about something that's very different.
So placemaking is the idea that you could increase a neighborhood's vibrancy and cultural economic activities by, as I said, leveraging what already exists there. The people, the cultures, the ethnic backgrounds, the local businesses, even if it is a hodgepodge, like that makes the neighborhood the neighborhood.
You're transforming a hodgepodge into something else.
Yeah. But also that the people themselves are transforming it. It's not someone from the outside influencing what should be done and how the neighborhood should conduct itself. No, it's the neighborhood saying, we have talents and we have anchor institutes and we have a vision of what should be created in our neighborhood and giving them that power and empowering them. And that's what Cedric is doing with the Up Truck in Upham's Corner.
So, Cedric, how do you think this would be making things better for people in the long run, to have something they've had a hand in designing and something that they can still look and see in the neighborhood down the line?
I think it's important because if you create something, you have ownership of it, and you're gonna have people. No one's gonna touch that. We created this, and it's ownership. So it's like you own your house, you own your bike, you own these things that you own. You want to protect, and you connect with because you created it. So I think just waking up and seeing that and being like, it defines like Upham's Corner, this work of art, and I was part of the creation of it and the development of it, and I have ownership to it. And if anyone, tries to, say anything else about it, I created that. It's like empowerment within yourself that you made something.
You spoke to some of the young people recently, and they told you some of the things they'd like to see. What were they?
It was a variety between something like creating a bike shop to creating some place to perform slam poetry. Someone talked about creating some type of water fountain where you can congregate and like connect with people. One really abstract one was one of the taxi drivers said that it'd be cool to have a restaurant with all the different ethnic backgrounds, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cape Verdean, Jamaican, Irish, all in one, and having different chefs from different communities kind of like being that, some wild ideas. And we have a thought bubble that we put up, and every time people write on that bubble, and we take that data and we kind of look at it. African art, Latino art, murals, bright colors that reflect the community, theater programs for youth, it's amazing ideas.
Bayoan, I'm just thinking how different that is from what's also common elsewhere, is that neighborhoods in the city might be a dumping ground for things from the outside, whether it's corporate brand names or billboards. But when the community itself is elevated to that platform in the neighborhood, what does that do for people?
So just to take a step back, in 1984, the Dudley Street neighborhood was a dump ground. Not for corporate, right? It was abandoned lots, it was vacant, legal dumping, and the community, back to the ownership piece, took ownership of it and actually took over DS&I, took over tons, over 32 acres now of abandoned lots, and turned it into affordable housing, now with some small businesses on it. So when people try to come into the neighborhood, I think the neighborhood Dudley is very vigilant about that. And they're very protective of the neighborhood, but also very inviting. We want people to come to the Strand, right? We want people to enjoy shows at the Strand. We want to make sure that our residents could also have that joy and could see a ballet at the Strand. So we increased over the last few years resident engagements in the Strand, and over 700 local families were able to see the Nutcracker at the Strand, which probably hasn't happened in years. So I think that's an important piece, where people can come in from the outside, but they can't influence what is created in the community.
Well, Cedric, the truck's going to keep rolling, so if people want to come out to you and engage, what's the best way for them to figure out how to do that?
Our Facebook, uptruck.facebook.com, website, uptruck.com, and then the Facebook. Those are two ways that we're promoting ourselves. And we're doing right now, we're having an Upham's Corner art election, so people can text in their votes, and as well as vote online. We're going to set that up and have people kind of make their votes.
All right, thank you both very much, Cedric Douglas and Bayoan Rossello Cornier. Still to come, more on student housing, plus the report from Roxbury with Derek Lumpkins.